Hello friends and welcome to the Ram Moon Oracle. I'm Rayo and today we are continuing our Tarot Discovery series with the Emperor card. Card number 4 in the Major Arcana. Our Major Arcana is that big overarching themes, those big archetypes, those like big feelings and energy. And we are continuing on through and looking at the Divine Father now. Last time with the Empress, we had our Divine Mother, and we are continuing with our Fool through their journey. And we've left the Mother now at this point, and we're looking at the Father and everything that the Emperor represents. So as per usual, we're going to look at the original Rider-Waite imagery. We're going to talk about the keywords, other meanings, other symbology in the card, and do some compare and contrast for other tarot decks I have and other emperors in those decks. So let us get started with some keywords for our emperor here. I'm using our Learning the Tarot One Card at a Time book still for all my notes. Link will be down in the description below. So the Emperor card is, of course, that father energy. He is authority. He is structure. He's like that official establishment of rules. He is protection. He is stability, security, power, decisiveness. And also if the Empress is the more intuition kind of feelings, the Emperor is the logic, the applied to the material aspects of life. With it being card number 4 in the deck, we've definitely got more of that stability. You think of a table, the four corners in a square, that shape just being a really strong shape. With the number 4, we also have reliability, loyalty, again, more stability, and also becomes that foundation, symmetry, endurance. Astrologically, the Emperor is represented by Mars and the zodiac sign of Aries. You'll see as we get into the cards, there is a lot of Aries symbology in the card itself. Aries is the element of fire, and you get that like more warrior energy, that war energy because of Aries and the Emperor themselves coming into play. So in the original Rider-Waite imagery, we have our Emperor sitting on a throne in a nice big red kind of cloak outfit. He is wearing armor underneath that robe, and he is holding a ankh in one hand and usually a sphere in the other hand. The sphere is representative of his dominion, the world that he oversees, and the ankh is usually a symbol of life. On the throne he is sitting on, we see the ram's heads. Again, a representative of that Aries energy, that Mars energy, that warrior energy that is representative of the Emperor. Got mountains in the background, a crown on his head. So, of course, the crown, again, that dominion, that rule, the mountains representing more of that stability, that steadfastness, that unmovability also at the same time. So some stubbornness coming in as well. But we'll get to that as we get into the reversals later on in the video. So let's see what else here. Other meanings for this card, we have like logic over emotion. It's somebody standing tall and strong. There's a strong foundation there. It's a person who is protective and fatherly if it's coming out to represent a person in a tarot reading. So that person, again, is just somebody that's going to be protective, somebody that's going to represent a father in your life. The Emperor also is leadership, and with leadership comes all those burdens and responsibilities, but also all the rewards at the same time. So if the Emperor is showing up in, say, a career context, you have like potentially a leadership position and all the positive and negatives that come with that. The Emperor is going to be more of like our calm in the chaos, again, that steadfastness, bringing order to the chaos. So again, that rule and establishing order and boundaries. The Emperor in positive aspect is going to be firm but fair, and he brings that like law and order, that tradition and consistency to everything. Okay, so for today for us, I've pulled 4 cards from other tarot decks I have. So let us take a look at them. First one I have on top of the pile here is the Emperor from the Halloween Tarot. So this emperor here, very traditional imagery. We see that Ankh in his hands, the sphere. Something interesting to note is he has a chain across his chest. So while that could be representative of the armor, it is also keeping this emperor chained to the chair and keeping him controlled and keeping him contained, keeping him subdued. So while this is kind of positive and negatives in terms of Frankenstein's monster, right, there is a lot of power there, a lot of ability, but maybe less so a mind of his own potentially. So it's just something interesting to know, because we do see the brain there off to the side of the emperor right next to his head. Yeah, there's really not too much to say in terms of this emperor. We don't see a ton different from the normal imagery associated with the Emperor card. He is in what looks like a castle, so we see a lot of rock, which could be a lot of earth, and again, that like stability, maybe representative contrast to like the mountains in the background of the normal Rider-Waite imagery. We have this like rocking castle instead. That can kind of represent that same thing, that steadfastness, that stubbornness, that structure, that foundation, right? But yeah, I think that's all to this emperor. Honestly, not too much. There's not too much more for this one, and not too much difference than the normal Rider-Waite imagery. It's just a little interesting take on it for it being Frankenstein's monster. Our next emperor comes from the Seers tarot, a classic one that I show quite frequently here on this channel. So here is that one. So we see that ram's head in the background right there. So representative of that Mars energy. The sphere, I think, is interesting to note, is the emperor is sitting in it and on it. So it's a little bit more representative of him being a part of the world, in my opinion, versus just ruling over it. So while he has rule because he is holding that chess piece that's representative of the king in his other hand, we do see his rule there. He is part of the world that he rules over. That Ankh is symbolized on his tattoo on his arm there, so that's power of life again. Divinity to rule potentially, and we see a lot of kind of like passionate like art, Aries like coloring too, with that like yellows and oranges and browns in the card itself and in his outfit. Something I like about the Seers tarot is that it's more racially diverse than you'd see in the like original Rider-Waite imagery, and I think that's really special and beneficial for a lot of people. So just something I wanted to point out there. I do like that this emperor is holding a chess piece. I think that's a unique way to show that king imagery, holding that chess piece there. And something I just noticed is that the sphere that the emperor is sitting in, while I was talking about it being the world and representative of the world, this is a Mars sphere. If we look again real quick on this one, the coloring it's Mars. It's Mars, so that's more representative of that energy, that Mars energy, that Aries energy, because Aries is ruled by the planet Mars. So he is sitting on a sphere that is Mars, also representative of the world and his dominion. So just something interesting that I just noticed there. This is kind of why I do this series, is to really take a good in-depth look at all the cards, but my tarot decks personally, so that I can just really get in tune with the energy that these decks have. But that is the Seers tarot. Next emperor we have is the Santa Muerte, of course. So I'll put up the compare and contrast for this one. The emperor and empress in the Santa Muerte deck combined together. So there's a really beautiful imagery for them being part of the whole, the two halves of a whole in this case. But this emperor, he has the kind of like cross scepter as well, showing that dominion to rule again. He has a gun in his other hand, so that is kind of that forceful energy the emperor has, while also being protective at the same time. The anchor that he has by his feet is also that, I'd say, that steadfastness, that balance, that security, that foundation, right? So we see some of the same flowers and colors that we do in the Empress card. But again, I'll put up those two cards and put them together so they match, so you can see the masculine and feminine together in one card or one scene, which is really cool. This emperor, not too much more to talk about though. So we see with the uniform that variation in the armor. So we see that authority with the uniform as well. So he has that lapel pin, could be representative of his station in life, his ability to rule again, his ability to lead and command. It looks like there's a chest behind him, kind of on his backside right there on the left. So that could be the emotions tucked away potentially, because the Emperor is definitely more logical over emotional. So the feelings being kind of tucked away and kept secret, kept hidden. And with potentially with being feelings locked away, that's when we get into some of those like more negative Emperor qualities that we'll talk about here in a second. Okay, last card is from the Wild Unknown. I pulled the Empress last video from the Wild Unknown as well, and I wanted to have this one again, like the Santa Muerte, to show the counterparts. And this one is another tree, the Emperor. For this one is more of our pine kind of evergreen type tree versus one of the more regular like hardwood type trees that the Empress was in the previous video. So something to note in the tree imagery I wanted to talk about. We see the sun in comparison to the moon. We see a more straight, like kind of triangular tree in difference to a more like round full tree. Evergreen trees do not go through the same process that the other trees do. They do not lose their needles in the fall as the weather turns cold. They stay looking the same all year round. So those evergreen trees, those pine trees, they all look the same throughout the whole year and don't have the same process of renewal that other trees do. And I think that is very interesting to note in terms of these two cards, the Emperor and Empress in the Wild Unknown. So yeah, so the Emperor in this one, not as full as leaves. We don't see the same coloring around. The coloring comes from the sun up in the top corner, those yellows and oranges versus being around the tree in the Empress card. So I think the difference in this one, right, is the coloring being very intuitive and taking place inside in the Empress. And for our Emperor counterpart here, it's the knowledge and the information comes from outside. It comes from above or outside or the situation versus internally. Just a different way they process, different way they look at information and energy, right? So I think that's very different to compare the two, and especially if you know a little bit about trees like me for being an outdoor major, you can see a little bit more difference and a little bit, you can in tune with a little bit more of that meaning and depth that both of the cards have. So this Emperor, again, the Wild Unknown, gets to the very core of what the card means and makes it just a little bit easier. This is a great beginner deck. I love it a lot. But that is our last card for the tarot decks that I've pulled for the Emperor. So now let us get into our reversal meanings. So again, reversals, just real quick for anybody who doesn't know, reversals you can read one of two ways in my experience. You can read them as too much energy of the card or not enough energy of the card. So we're lacking that Emperor energy in our life, or we have an overabundance of it. It's too much that it's become detrimental to us. So a overdone, too much Emperor energy is going to be rigid and stubborn. They're going to be stifling, stagnant. There's going to be maybe too many rules and regulations. With that leadership role, we can get an abuse of power. They can become tyrannical. They might command without the ability, though, without the skill set and knowledge behind them. Or they don't take the advice that they're given, what you would do in a leadership role to lead well, because they're too arrogant and end up overruling. An Emperor that is overdone to a detriment is going to be inflexible, have a lack of vulnerability. That's why when I saw the chest in the Santa Muerte Emperor, that's what I thought of, was like those emotions packed away, not vulnerable. Let's see, what else? Yeah, so this is that overbearing father figure, right? So that's the emperor that is too much. That is that rules with an iron fist, no compassion. That is that emperor that is too much. When we don't have enough emperor energy in our life, we might be questioning the rules that are given to us. We might be lacking discipline, lacking boundaries. We might give away our power. We could be shy of taking our power, shy of being in that leadership role that we maybe are supposed to be in. We might not be thinking super logically. We might just be thinking on with our heart and not with our head, not keeping it balanced. Lack of emperor energy in our life can be a lack of structure in your life. You can end up insecure. There's inconsistencies there, and from those inconsistencies, unpredictability. Yeah, so not enough emperor energy in our life is like we just are not stepping into our power. We are not taking control of the situations we should be. We are shying away from that leadership that we should be in. We are shying away from our power that's in ourselves and not taking care of ourselves in that regard, and not thinking we're strong enough, not being confident enough. Let's see, anything else real quick here? Lots of red imagery, so we get that tie into the heart and that passion as well, even though the emperor is definitely a more logical versus emotional character. But it also, that red is representative of purpose. Let's see. I think that will do it. I think that's all I got for the emperor for today. Strong character, strong energy, good energy to have, a good balance to the feminine energy of the empress, and that is why they are the emperor and the empress, those two halves of a whole, the two sides of a coin, right? So you can't have one without the other. You need that balance and having both. So that is all I have for everyone today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please leave a comment down below, like if you did enjoy it, and please subscribe. It'd help me out a lot if you did. So I hope everyone has a great rest of their day, and I will see you all next time. Bye.